I'm Olivia Hires, and this is a Buzz Moment. We're here with Chris Ball to discuss his point of view on the GSA at Franklin County High School. Welcome, Chris. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you, Olivia. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Well, what do you want to tell us? We had you on here before with Pete Kosovoon, and you made some excellent points about not allowing clubs at all that are not academic, whether they be religious or, as the GSA stands for, youth sexuality. Well, you still standing by that?
Oh, of course. And I do not have a problem with there being an existence called the GSA.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with it being at schools.
All right.
Because if you look on the school's manifesto of this club, they say they are here to provide a safe place from bullying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but really that's false. That's not what the GSA is for.
Okay, what is the GSA for?
Well, and anyone can see this. You could go onto any GSA website and they tell you, and I'm going to read this verbatim.
All right.
They're there for training and to provide resources. And they use the phrase, the training we provide. So what they're there to do is to train children. Now let me make this straight. Children are there to train other children that instead of being tolerant, they're there to train children into being acceptant of a sexual preference.
Even though the club is not mandatory and they're not allowed to solicit other students to join the club, you can only join the club if you are actually interested in it. You think that the GSA is actually trying to solicit students who are straight and don't like the LGBTQ crowd and trying to force them to accept it rather than just being tolerant of it.
Well, I don't, the soliciting part, it's okay to say, hey, would you like to come to our club?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if adults want to join a club and be trained by other adults. It is not okay for children to be training by children.
So leadership in ROTC isn't acceptable either when it comes from students within the ranks.
Actually, the leader of the ROTC is an adult.
Yes, that is true. But there are instances in the ROTC where students who have been in there longer and have gone up higher will lead training exercises for the newer students.
But you don't bring in outside sources to do the training.
No, I don't believe that the GSA allows that either.
Actually, the GSA does training to train other children.
Now, what is this training?
Well, they have camps. They have many things that they do. The GSA is not just here in our campus. It is a national organization that provides training to children to go train other children.
All right.
It's not.
So how is that different than, say, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the camps they offer, the training they offer as far as spirituality and religious beliefs?
That's great. I don't necessarily want the FCA at our school either.
All right.
It is my job as a parent, as an adult with a child.
Yes.
It's the parent's job to train our children.
Exactly.
It is a teacher's job to teach our children. It is not a child's job to teach my child or train my child. Yes, there will be times in our life where we learn things from being around our peers, but to be actively training my child, I don't want that. I don't want a child training my son how to curse. Okay?
I gotta say, on the playground, you get a lot of that.
Exactly. But I don't want somebody actively training them.
Oh, no.
And that's what's happening with the GSA.
All right.
We say things like, well, this has nothing to do with sex. That's what I keep hearing spouted. Well, the GSA has nothing to do with sex. And that is patently false. The very name of it is GSA, which stands for Gay Straight Alliance.
Yes.
Okay? Well, what defines gay and what defines straight?
Oh, gay tends to be homosexuality. It means the attraction to people of the same gender or the same sex, biological sex, that is.
Ah, well, I thought it had nothing to do with sex.
Well, sex is also a biological term. It doesn't actually necessarily lead to sexual activity.
Well, that's,
Well, you can
that,
also,
that is not true.
well, that's also
It's
saying
not true.
that's also saying that we can't teach anatomy in schools because that involves sex.
Anatomy involves the body parts of a person,
Mm-hmm.
not the actual sex.
Well, what about biology then?
What about biology?
Biology teaches human reproduction.
That's great. That's in a classroom setting taught by adults. You just made my point.
All right. Well. All right. What else would you like to say about
Well, no,
GSA?
I'm okay with there being a GSA off the campus.
All right.
I won't try to stop that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's a voluntary, and it still is voluntary, but then you go off campus to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a campus setting at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't like. You asked me about FCA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the FCA at our schools either, because I teach and train up my children in religion. The Bible tells you to train your child.
Well, be a devil's advocate here.
Okay.
What if you have a child who is being raised by atheist parents
Okay.
who are forbidding them from going to church whatsoever, and the only way that they can actually actively seek out what they feel is their religious belief is this one club at school, and that is the FCA?
You can have the club off campus.
How would they get there?
The same way we all got there to every club that is off campus. We're acting like this is some new thing that we've all invented, that clubs have never been off campus.
Well, they have been, but it's just the fact
Exactly.
that getting to clubs
I'm
off
gonna give you-
campus, normally if you're under the age of 16, that requires parental permission or an adult driving you there. And I'm sure you don't want children to lie to their parents, even if it's about going to church.
So, first of all, we have clubs all across the United States where people under the age of 16 go to them. For instance, my sons were in the Boy Scouts.
Oh yes, Boy Scouts is still very popular.
But guess what? It wasn't held at a single school.
Oh,
And yet they still managed to go through Boy Scouts and become an Eagle Scout.
well, that's wonderful.
So how was that possible then?
Because he had parental support.
Hello.
Yes, exactly. And it is the parents' duties to support their children.
Yes.
It really is.
That's exactly right.
It's unfortunate when children don't have that support.
And there are still other ways for children who don't have that support to get to places.
That is very true.
For instance, when I was a young man, I was in the Future Business Leaders. This meeting did not take place in our school. It took place about 50 miles away.
All right.
So once a month, I was able to go without my parents being in the car to a meeting that was about 50 miles away.
All right.
How could I possibly do that?
I'm listening to you.
Well, the answer is because I wanted to, because I prioritized the fact that I wanted to do something.
All right.
So this us saying that, well, there's no way that they can get there is just not true. All sorts of societies have meetings that children are in school off campus.
Oh, yes.
The National Beta Society, for instance, I called them up and asked them if they have any rules about children meeting off campus. Guess what their answer was? Why, no, lots of our clubs meet off campus.
All right.
These are the very same school children, ages 14 through 17, that you say cannot get to a meeting on
I'm not
campus.
saying that they can't. I'm saying that it may be difficult.
Okay.
However, I do agree with you that having clubs off campus that are not involved with school, it's very important for children, yes, children ages 14 to 17, to be able to experience those. And I agree with you. They should be able to get to them, and there are plenty of ways that they can get to them.
Exactly, there are. So the narrative that we're all spouting that there is no way and that this is going to hurt them is not necessarily true. Now, there may be a case-by-case instance where some child finds it hard to get there, but there are ways around that.
Yes.
Because we're all human beings and we're born with brains. And we're able to think through situations.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So it's easy to overcome objections in our lives if we just put forth the effort to.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Now, one of the things that the GSA says is at our school is that we're trying to provide a safe place from bullying. And you know what? I'm all for that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
If any of those students called me and said, Chris, we're being bullied, we need help, I would go and respond and help them any way that I could. I don't care if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're fat, if you're thin, if you're black, if you're white, if you're green, red, yellow, whatever.
We're all human.
We're all human beings, and we all deserve a safe environment to receive an education.
And we all deserve basic civility towards each other, no matter disagreements.
Exactly, amen. And I'm all for that.
Oh, yes.
I just do not believe that the GSA is the vehicle to provide that support
All right.
because of the things that we just talked about.
All right. Well, that makes...
I think they have a agenda beyond bullying. And it's obvious when you read any of their text that they do.
All right.
It's all about training. Even the two young men who were at the party said, Dick Wolf, I believe that's his name, asked them, well, what do you hope to have happen for the future? And they said, well, we want to train the younger people, the younger students. That was their quote. And you could go and look at it.
I will take a look at that video again. I think I missed that.
That was the exact quote. I do not want children training my children.
I understand. Do you think that if the Franklin County High School administration was doing a better job at addressing the underlying bullying problem, that the GSA would even exist?
Amen. I think our school has messed it up royally. And I think it starts at the principal. Now, and I'm just going to be straight about it. Our principal at this high school is doing a horrible job of stopping this.
Stopping the bullying.
The bullying,
Yeah.
yes.
You see, that's what I think is the core issue here.
Oh, I agree with you.
The bullying that needs to stop. I
agree with you.
I went to Tullahoma, and that's a very small insular school, and so the bullying there was a bit more ferocious. I get to Franklin County, and yes, there was still bullying, but it's a much larger population, and so it was more spread out, and there seemed to be fewer incidents. But as you say, it's still a large problem, and the students who have felt the need to form this club, because the administration is not doing what they can. Is that really what you...
I agree.
Yeah.
That is the core problem.
All right.
It is the core problem. When young men, regardless of, or women, and really what we're going to discuss here is the young boys, cannot go to the restroom without fear of violence, even though our school has a zero tolerance policy. Let's talk about that. Zero tolerance means zero tolerance. Not we're just going to sweep it under the carpet and hope it goes away. It means we're going to actively stop this situation that is occurring. It is not happening.
What do you think the administration can do to help the underlying bullying problem?
To help it or to stop it?
Stop it.
Well, the first thing you do is actually follow the school policy. We have a form, and I've seen it, that a student is supposed to fill out if they've been bullied.
All right.
All right. So this form they're supposed to fill out, turn it in. Well, how about we actually have some action on that?
Have you? The administration is not following up on these forms that they're receiving?
Of course it's not, or we wouldn't have the GSA at our school. If this was, and I know they're not because I've had family that were faculty at that school. Okay, so I know they're not.
All right.
Also, I've already been called a couple of times in the last month from people who say, hey, my child is being bullied. Can you call somebody and see if we can stop this? One young man is being bullied simply because he's an albino.
Oh my God.
And this is a friend of mine, his nephew. And he calls me up and says, hey, can you call somebody? And I said, yes, I will. And this young man is scared to go to school because when he does, people are picking on him.
And that's not right, no matter who you are.
Of course not.
It's not.
I don't care what your situation is, what your sexual preference is. I don't care. I don't care if you're overweight, underweight, have spiked hair or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is a school. This is children we're talking about. And our faculty has, and I'm going to just say it, our principal, who is the head of the faculty at this school, has dropped the ball. Somebody, and really our school board and our director, I know she's new, but she needs to step in, or the school board needs to step in and make sure that we are actually following our policies to the letter. Now, if that's not happening, then there needs to be a change made in who is administrating the policies.
All right. Well, actually, thank you so much, Chris. We really do appreciate you coming. I'm Olivia Hires, and this has been a Buzz Moment.